are joined here today by Coach Eric Abrams from San Bernardino Valley College. I believe this is your sixth year here at SBVC, Coach. You spent 15 years at Cajon High School, attended Western State College, and then graduated with your undergrad at Colorado State University, followed by getting your master's at Azusa Pacific University in kinesiology. Coach, thank you for your time, and it's great seeing you again.
You're welcome. Good to see you too.
Hey, I always start off these interviews with basically a general check of how you're doing, how's the family, you're staying safe. How's everything going for you during this lockdown?
To be honest, it's tough times, but everybody's going through it, so it makes it a little bit easier knowing that you're not the only one.
Yeah.
That's I find myself being negative sometimes, positive sometimes, but ultimately positive because it's just. For me, God's opened up a door to spend more time with the family.
Sure.
And the powers that be say that we may end up having a cross-country season, which is awesome because we all want. But being safe first is, paramount here. So
sure,
we're doing what we're told and trying to get through these waters as swiftly as we can.
Absolutely, and everything seems to be changing literally every day. Something is new. Let's get into it. Saying that you had a successful season last year would be an understatement. Not only did you capture the first IEAC title, Kimberly Pena, 14th in the state, earned All-American honors. But before we get to Pena and her accomplishments, tell me about last year's squad and what made your season go so well.
Well, good question. Last year, we were up against a couple quality teams. Battling the same things that we were. We were very understaffed, I guess you could say. We had, 6 to 7 women running on the team the entire year. Some races we had 5, some we had less. Usually we averaged 6, and on some days it was 7. Our best competition at the inaugural Inland Empire Championship was Chaffee.
Yeah.
Chaffee had the same issues we did. 5 or 6 girls. Sometimes healthy, sometimes not. So it was a kind of an up and down season. And we went into it just, trying to get to the regional and hopefully qualify for state, which we did fail to qualify for state. But I'm so proud of the team that, we were able to stick together. We pulled out that victory with a tiebreaker. So it was impressive. It was somewhat surprising, too. It was just, we didn't go in with huge expectations. We just went in to run as good as we could. We knew that Pena had a heck of a shot at winning the conference championship, and went in there and she handled business, and the girls just kind of, stepped it up. And when all the cards fell at the end of the race, it was a tie. We won the tiebreaker, so I couldn't have been more happy. I was very impressed with my group.
Just said 100 times before, the titles are great. The accomplishments for the programs are awesome. However, in my personal opinion, at the junior college level, I measure program success by the players that you move forward to a higher program. And as mentioned, Pena recently committed to run for Sonoma State.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about her and tell us the process of her choosing Sonoma State and how she ended up there.
Well, here's how it kind of went down. As you know, she was a freshman. She won, the inaugural conference championship as an individual, as a freshman. And I had every intention of having her back this year. But we did have side conversations on the fact that I knew that she really wanted to go to a school up north.
Yeah.
Coming from Roosevelt High School, which was a pretty good pull for us to get a girl out of Roosevelt and their really good program, and to have her drive by a couple of schools in order to come to us, if you know what I mean. That worked out great. I think she did phenomenal. She was on pace with Coach Radigan and the distance program and track to just throw down some big numbers.
Sure.
She was in good shape. I remember a practice just working with them with some hurdle drills for the steeplechase. And wow, this girl is a dynamo. She's going to be great. Jada Martinez was going to run the steeple with her. And I was just working with them a little bit under Radigan's direction.
Yeah.
Didn't anticipate this, but when she called me and told me that was her mindset, I could say this. There's not a girl that's more ready for the step she took a year early than her.
Got it.
She already had her ducks in a row. The big thing there was her sister transferred from, I want to say, North Dakota.
Okay.
North Dakota, up to one of the schools that's about 30 minutes away from where Kimberly Pena will be attending.
Okay.
So, they have that family thing. And what I did as a coach is I didn't get in her way at all. I just said, hey, if you're ready for it, they're offering you, all the money you need to go to school there, and with more incentives as you grow as an athlete there. I really think she's going to be their number one athlete.
Sure.
I think she's going to be their top runner this year. So everything that she's received from them and from their coach, she's deserved. And
That's awesome.
A lot of coaches would be like, oh man, give me one more year. Hey, we're community college. We get out there and we get after it like all the other 4-year schools.
Yeah.
But we just, grab what we can, and I don't want to be a roadblock in their path. And I certainly wasn't, and I'm proud of her.
No, that's awesome. And again, I can't stress that enough. It's there are coaches that specifically just focus on the titles, but yet, kind of forget what we're in this level for, and that's to move our student athletes to that next level to earn that 4-year degree. And
That's right.
I commend you for that and what you do, and that's definitely something that we are definitely proud of. Now, obviously, as we talked about, we are in some, weird times. We are learning something new every day of what's upcoming here in spring, fall 2021. What has been the biggest challenge for you and your program? I mean, last season, the cross country, season started in August, and obviously months prior to that is when preparation happens. What can you tell us about what you've learned and how you're going to navigate 2021 when it comes to the recruiting, the eligibility part of it, and of course, the training part of it?
Right. Super fair question. It's kind of like you kind of said, what have you learned? It's kind of, what are we learning? Because like you said, on a daily basis, it's another mindset. It's another thing. I work alongside Radigan, and I've learned a lot from him, and he's a very positive man. He's super positive, and he's helped me stay positive. I do have a very good group coming in. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Kenya's early departure certainly wouldn't help any program when you take number 14 at state. But what you got to do is set that aside and say, okay, let's roll with what we got. Keep recruiting, keep trying. But what's happened with the pandemic is it's obviously I haven't seen my girls. I haven't been able to train with them, run with them. So all we've done is Coach Romero, my assistant, and I, and Coach Fred. We've spoken to them. We have weekly chats on Zoom, and we communicate. They have a schedule that they need to try to follow. A lot of my girls are averaging about 25 miles a week right now.
Wow. Okay.
What it's done is it's really, it's like, what do you do? What are we training for? Now, obviously, we're training for a season that they have now moved to January. But it's not very often where you train for cross country for this long, going all the way into January. So you got to think outside the box. I've talked to coaches. I've talked, Radigan and I have had several conversations.
Okay.
In fact, I'm having texts come in as we speak right now from some other coaches I had reached out to.
Okay.
To meet some of the challenges. I hope I'm answering the question.
No, you are. And I think that's the unique part of, all the sports are unique in a sense, especially adjusting to, January. I remember our conversations when we were leading into the conference and how you would map out the miles that your athletes would run from, a week out to 2 days out, 3 days out, and how much mileage you give them. So now that is all blown out of the water, now it's, we've got January that we have to do. You obviously don't want your athletes not training until January. So, it's a matter of, is it now just staying in good cardio shape? And once we approach the October, November, December time, is that when you kick it up again? So basically, what are you telling your guys to do?
Well, what we're doing is we're rolling with the same thing that we did every other preseason. We have a 5-week class, and they're enrolled in class, and the class is practice. Got it. I've rolled out what we did last year with a few tweaks here and there. We do a little run we call an El Diablo. Got that from Brad, and it's a little test of where they are and then how far they go in those 5 weeks prior to the season.
Mm-hmm.
Then we generally have 2 weeks where we don't have contact with our athletes per CCCA rules.
Mm-hmm.
And then when fall starts, we kick right into our season preparation and continue. We're doing that. That's what I'm doing. That 5 weeks has not changed.
Mm-hmm.
A few little tweaks here and there.
Yep.
But we do realize we will not be competing. So what we're doing is I'm contacting coaches, and we're going to try to do some virtual, perhaps 3Ks or 5Ks.
Okay.
We just pick a day. The first one won't be.
Get after it that way. It's
going to be a month and a half or so away, maybe 2 months, and say, okay, we're going to train for this, and maybe not exactly the way we would, because we got to make sure we're careful. It's a long training program from now till July, and it's a new thing for all the coaches to schedule that. So, I've reached out to some coaches. I have some coaches that are willing to do virtual 3Ks or 5Ks where the girls. Go ahead.
That's great. That's awesome. That's definitely a unique way of doing things without, obviously following the whole social distancing. That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
Yeah,
and please let us know when you do this thing. I'd like to cover it and see how that's being accomplished.
Yeah, and basically, I'll tell you, I'll be sitting at my house or wherever I'm at. They're going to have a day that's chosen out to go and hit a track. Of course, falling within the governor's guidelines of where you're allowed to be and when you're allowed to be there, being safe. I don't encourage them to get together and train unless they've already been together and they're proven that they don't have the virus. The last thing I want is for us to do something that risks the health of somebody on our team, or somebody on our team brings it home to risk it for somebody else.
Sure.
So it's just kind of on their own, and they're submitting their time. That they use Strava, things like that. But ideally, like here's for instance, we're going to be doing one, hopefully with Chafee. I reached out to Rob and got to get an email back from him. I did that today. But I talked to the Hawaii Hilo coach, who I've friended over the years at some of the meets I see him. So, for instance, is I just get a hold of Jaime over there, and his girls run on the same day that we run. We do a 3K. They submit the times to their coach, and I'm like, all right, Jaime, here's my girls' times. He's like, here's your girls' times. And then we just throw it together and say, okay, here would have been the score for a dual meet. Share this with your girls, and then move on to the next.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
You don't have to do it with one team. If you get several coaches that are willing to do it, you kind of do it all, and and then you could take all those times, assuming they do it fair. Coaches are fair when we relay the message.
Yeah, for sure.
Fair when they give it to us.
Sure. It's
kind of neat. You can do a meet. If you have 6 schools saying they're going to do it, then you can do it as a little mini invitational. Then you can pull each school out. You can score it as a duel. So you win some, you lose some, or, whatever. So it's things like that we're going to try to plan to keep them motivated. And that's what I'm hoping.
I love it. Hey, Coach, I've taken up a lot of your time. Last question for you. During this entire pandemic that we're going through, and we've been shut down, we've had stay-at-home orders. What's the one thing that you've learned or have grown to appreciate more? And lastly, if you have any message for any of your student athletes, what would that be?
Oh man, family. It's for me as a coach. Normally, we spend hours with our kids, and then we spend hours crunching numbers, especially as the season goes on. You're looking online and looking at times. It's freeing up a lot of time.
Sure.
To really think about this new way of training that we're going to have to figure out to keep kids healthy and optimal shape and ready for January. Downfalls are you don't get to do this with your girls. So I have girls on the team that decided to come. They came for a visit. I haven't seen them since the day they visited the school, and that's the tough part. But I would ask my student athletes or anybody that's watching this.
That's my daughter, by the way. Sorry, the one that's screaming in the background.
Oh, it's all good.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would ask my student athletes or anybody watching this to, take advantage of it. Use your time. You have more time on your hands than you would have if you're going to school every day. That's just a given. To be able to take advantage of that, but at the same time, find it's a regimen you got to find to get your training in. So that's what I'm hoping that we're going to be able to do. I'm hoping I'm a positive influence on that, and constant communication with them is the key. We have a smaller program. I have 10 girls, and which is better than we had last year. But our men's team is 20, 25.
Yeah.
So it's being that I'm smaller, it's a little easier to kind of, put the goats in the pen and get them ready for the, to feed them, and give them some positive. Because I know that a lot of the girls are really bummed out that they're not able to train and run. I have a transfer from a school that shut their program down in Notre Dame school.
Yeah.
When Alyssa Benavidez, my All-American from 3 years ago, she went up there. They shut their program down. So Alyssa Benavidez is at Cal State San Bernardino.
Yeah.
And one of her teammates is going to be with us for a year. So she's, her and the others are bummed. But there's a lot of positive that can come out of this. And keeping people safe and learning what we can do to socialize better is something I think we should all focus on.
I agree. Well, Coach, I sincerely thank you for your time. I'm going to contact you once we get offline here, and I'd like to know more about your virtual runs and how we would like to cover that and kind of set an example of how people are getting through this time. I think it's unique. I think it's a great idea, and it follows all the orders and guidelines that the state is asking for us. So, again, thank you so much. We will be talking soon.
All right, buddy. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Coach.